Hey friends, Darren Bailey here. We've got a pretty amazing episode for you this morning. The big talk today is AI, artificial intelligence. And I know there's a lot of fear and concern about what artificial intelligence is going to bring to society. But recently, I met a couple of amazing friends, and there's a business being started right here in Illinois that could be responsible for stopping much of the violence, even bullying, that we are seeing in our schools, that could stop dead in its tracks shoplifting and crime in our stores. And today I'm going to introduce to you George Macias and David Esterkamp with MDI Security and MDI AI Detection. And my conversation with you since I've met you several weeks ago, it's interesting. I had to wrap my mind around what you're doing, and I'm so honored that you would come here today. Kind of a yucky day out there to drive down here to Southern Illinois and help me share this, what I think is good news of what you've got going on. The world, especially America, we're going to have to wrap our mind around a lot of this. But anyway, why don't you guys introduce yourself, tell us where you live at, and just a little bit about you so the viewers know who they're talking with, and then we'll jump in and talk about MDI and talk about this wonderful technology that you're working with.
Okay. You want to go first?
My name's Dave Esterkamp. Live in Tinley Park. Work with George here on the MDI side, and really super excited about what we're going to share with you today. The new advances that have happened, and most importantly, the school safety that both him and I are very passionate about, keeping our schools not only in Illinois but throughout the United States more safe, especially what's happened in the past year or so.
Okay. Well, you can't tell it right now by him sitting down, but he's 6'7", and he played professional basketball in Europe. So it's a pretty exciting guy to talk to. So
I'm George Macias. I'm the CEO and founder of MDI Security and MDI AI Detection. A little bit about me. I come out of here out of Moni, Illinois. I've been in security for going on 16 years. I opened MDI 16 years ago in a residential setting where I was just doing resi alarms, and it's grown so much. And there came a point where I turned on the TV one day and you just reading and hearing about all these school shootings, all these active shooters in stores. And, I started saying, I've been doing security for a long time, made a lot of money, doing alarms, camera, fire, access control. And I said, now I got to do something that I'm passionate about, and I just remember classrooms when I was in them. You can open the door in the classroom, sit outside, you can read a book, you can go outside and do a study group. And now I ask my kids if they ever get to do that, and they tell me, no, doors have to stay locked. We have to have a badge to get back in our rooms. And, I just want to make learning fun again, and I want to make educating fun again. And it can't get to that point until everyone feels safe and everyone can feel like they can be themselves. You've got teachers who walk in classrooms and stare at 15 kids and they don't know what they have on them or what's going to happen or what's going to turn out. And then you got, students that go into classrooms and can't have that relationship with their teachers that, I had when I was a kid, where I can go up to the teacher's desk and say, hey, I'm having a bad day. And the teacher would sit down and have a conversation with you. Now you have a bad day. There's 17 different protocols that have to go into place to make sure the kids, in a good environment and they're mentally, and there's a lot of things that have to go into play. And I just feel like if we could just make educating fun again and we can make it safe, that we can get back to letting kids be kids and let teaching being teaching. And I feel like what we have is going to, it's not just going to turn into that, but it's going to put us in the right direction to be able to swing this in that direction that we really want it to be.
I love that passion. So, I spent 2 years as a state rep in 2019 and 2020. And then I spent 2 years as a state senator in 2021 and 22. And I will throw out another tidbit of information, kind of bring things a little closer to home. My legislative assistant, many of you out there, gosh, we were very busy in Springfield, especially after I sued J.B. Pritzker and won that lawsuit. People from all over the state, when they would come to Springfield, they would want to come to my office. And to Julie Hubley, my legislative assistant there. She's still there working. She's a hard worker. She's a loyal worker. But she would meet all these, the people who would come. We'd set them up with tickets to the Lincoln Museum. So you and Julie went to school together in Kankakee? Clifton. All right. So that's pretty exciting. When she saw all this and saw your pictures and stuff out with us at Mar-a-Lago, she was excited about that. So that's neat. So I always love it how the world gets smaller with when you get to know people. So, but one thing, I had a newspaper call me a couple of weeks ago, and they wanted to talk about corruption in government. And everybody always wants to talk about, the punishment, the inside of things. And that's what they were asking, what needs to happen? Mike Madding and Ed Burke and all these other people that, become corrupt after time. And I said, well, everything, they need to lose everything, first of all, but why aren't we talking about prevention? And for instance, in politics, well, how about term limits? Because in government, people get in, they're in too long, they become buddies, and the next thing you know, they're playing footsies together, and compromises are made. And much like the school shootings during the 4 years that I was in and the 2 years that I ran for governor, it breaks your heart to see this, to see when this happens. And there's been no answer up to now. Is it mental health? Is it what is it? And politicians love to clamor for the mic and the voter button once something like that happens, because everybody wants to get a law introduced, to punish or try to. Everything's on the back end. And of course, everybody wants to come after the guns, and here in Illinois, they think that's the answer. But what I think is so amazing, and as you guys begin to describe, the process of this new technology in your business, is that, again, you're going to prevent this. This AI has the ability to detect an attitude, to detect anger, to detect emotions, to detect the actual, whatever it is, weapon, whether it's a knife, whether it's a club, whatever that's going to be used. And that is life-changing, and I can't wait to see your company grow. I can't wait to help be a part of getting this information out to consumers, to businesses. So, man, we got a lot to unpack here. Talking about, you talked about some of the current businesses that you're looking at that are needing this for reasons. You're talking about, obviously your passion, getting it into the schools. So I'm not for sure. Why don't we talk about the AI, the technology itself? Why don't you just explain that a little bit, how this works, what it detects, and then we'll talk about how, how actually this gets put into place in a business or a school.
Okay. Well, the back history and how we got connected with Koshi Protects, and that is that's a really good friend of mine. His name's James Edmondson. They're out of Las Vegas, Nevada. I have an office in Las Vegas, Nevada. That's literally 3.5 blocks from his. And one of my friends that I went to grade school with works in his other company, the other side of his company. And we started talking, and I was talking about how I did a active shooter training, and I was, showcasing, gun detection. And I felt that gun detection wasn't enough of what we needed. We needed to have things in place that could prevent us needing to detect a gun. We needed to have someone knocking your books out of your hand, someone slam you up against a locker, someone being picked on repeatedly, being able to pick up that repeatedness behavior in a school setting would then in return help us to be able to take that fear of the gun coming into play and being able to eliminate it early on. So I started to dig a little deeper in what I wanted to do. Well, I ran into James. We were actually doing an install for him. We were putting in the access control and cameras, license plate readers. We went all out on his facility and his alarm, and I started asking questions like, "What do you do?" I said, "I know you do, robotics." And he started to tell me a little bit more, and I said, "Hey, I have a problem." And I told him what my problem was. I said, "My AI. This is what I envision as my AI." I said, "I want to be able to catch fights, altercations. I want to be able to detect weapons. And you know what? Guns is the very last thing." And he's like, "Well, I'm surprised you didn't start with that." And I said, "Well, because I feel like if we can pick up the other three things, then we can prevent a child from feeling like his last resort is to pick up a gun and come to school and kill his bully or kill the kids who sat there and laughed at him in the hallway, the kids who, chuckled when he got shoved around. And if we could stop it at that point to where, Johnny comes to school and is getting bullied and Timmy's the one doing it. And, if we could get Timmy expelled and removed and get him the help he needs, then maybe we save that child from having to feel like he's backed in a corner and have to come in and do what we don't want to happen. We don't want them to come to school with guns. And I feel like we were able to do that. So what we did is we started brainstorming some ideas with James, and he started to put together some ideas, sent me a PowerPoint presentation, and I chuckled and I said, "We're really going to do this, aren't we?" And he's like, "You told me this is unique. This is what you want to do." He's like, "I've spent so much time in my life building things and doing things that, that they want designed." He's like, "Finally, I can do something." He goes, "That is going to make the biggest difference of all. It's going to save lives. It's going to prevent mass tragedy. It's going to put us in the era of having time on our side." We always say we never have time on our side. Time is something we never get back. But now we're going to be able to deliver time. We're going to be able to go back and stop things from happening before they even can get to that point. And we hope we never get to calculate how many times we're able to prevent a gun from ever coming into a school, how many times we could actually, prevent this from happening. I want to be able to say, like, you were able to stop X amount of kids from bullying X amount of kids, and this machine is working. It's doing its job. It's doing what it needs to do. I don't ever want a statistic to come out to tell me that I was able to save X amount of lives because we were able to detect X amount of guns. I want to stop it before it happens. So we got with the group. A lot of Saturdays and Sundays, 8-9 hours on the phone, back and forth, sending ideas, sending videos. And the next thing you know, it gets introduced to me, this machine and what it's going to do. And I got to watch it live, on a Zoom call from my house.
I want to make sure that I put that in perspective because this machine, so essentially a school already has their cameras wired, and this machine attaches, each camera has a machine, and that's the AI portion. I just want to make sure that people understand that as you're telling that.
Yep. There's an AI server that gets put in it. It's plugged in. It goes on the network. It stays isolated into internal only. It doesn't go outside. It's an intranet, not an internet server. So it goes inside. Inside of that server is a basically a graphics card, call it. There's a machine learning. Everything's all built into one. And inside there, we then say, okay, this machine can handle 50 camera feeds. So now if that building has 48 cameras, we take those 48 cameras, we take the RTSP stream, we log into those RTSP streams, we then download them, all the data, all the information, we put it into the machine. Now, when those cameras are running, our server, let's just say it has 48 different lines that go out, and it goes to each one of those cameras and it watches those cameras as if you're watching it with the human eye. And it's able to then detect the gun, the weapon, the knife. We didn't even touch on arson. It's even able to pick up arson. So if a kid takes a lighter and goes in the corner of the school and starts lighting things on fire, it's going to pick it up. It's gonna pick that up, and they're gonna be able to get there and prevent something from happening along the way with theft. If this is ran in the school library and someone grabs a book and shoves it in their jacket and tries to walk out without checking that library book out, it's gonna pick that theft up. It's going to bring back the reasons to why locks were invented. They weren't invented to keep people out. They were invented to keep honest people honest. And what this is going to do is this is going to make it to where it's going to keep honest people honest. They're going to know, I'm not going to try to play games today. I'm just, I'm going to do it the right way. I'm not going to try to, steal a piece of candy because I can. It's going to bring that back to where it needs to be. And it's really going to, I feel it's going to bring us back to the grassroots of educating the way we want to educate, going in the classroom, the teacher feeling comfortable. And that's really what we want to get it back to. We want to get it back to schools being safe.
So this isn't science fiction or something off of a movie that we've watching. This technology exist right now. You're ready to go to market with this.
We're watching it exist. Dave and I watched it last night. You got to download everything and put it in, and I run videos on it. You want to share kind of your concept and what you see and what you've seen and coming into this, this era.
It's highly impressive. George was talking about James, what he's done. Like, he's able to take videos off of cell phones, off of video feeds, and he can show you exactly what is the AI is running. Is deep learning is what it's doing. So each time something happens, what we're talking about is that if something repeatedly is happening in a school or in a supermarket or something like a theft, you give us those videos, okay? We're able to put that into the system. The AI is going to be able to deep learn that and figure out how somebody is doing this, or body language of a student over time is in a fight mode or something like that. The AI is going to be able to start detecting that type of stuff, which in terms for school is going to be more safety, right? For supermarkets or something like that, it's going to prevent, we're never going to stop it, right? There's always going to be people finding ways to do it. But if they keep repeatedly doing this, we're going to be able to figure it out. The AI is going to be able to figure it out, and then we can help, this company either save money in schools and be able to save lives. And like we talked about, we hope we can walk into a superintendent's school and say, I hope that you never know how many lives you get to save.
Mm-hmm.
So we can eradicate that.
Yeah.
That's our big point right there.
That's awesome.
Now, did I understand you earlier? So this doesn't just pick up the action of stealing, putting something in your coat, the firearm, the weapon, the knife, the fire, but it also can detect attitudes, aggressiveness, somebody walking. Because were you telling me the story? Maybe there was another. We go back to the Uvalde school, and we know that there was like 3 minutes, of time that the person was trying to get into the school.
It's so give you a scenario. Utica, New York, the stabbing. There was a kid. It was all over the news, the paper. The kid was walking down the hallway and he was gonna stab. He was gonna stab the other kid. We took the video that off someone's cell phone that they recorded it in this school. We took that feed and we fed it to our AI, and we said, detect what's happening. It picked up the aggressive behavior of the walk, one hallway length before he even got to the student that he stabbed. So we picked it up. We could have sent that notification out to whoever is on their list, whoever that school wants on that list, and they could have got to that hallway and been in there to break it up before it even happened. Or it could have went to a teacher that was in between the two students' classroom, could have walked outside, knew there was going to be an altercation. It could have came outside and could have stopped it from happening. Not saying it's going to prevent it from happening the next day or the next day after, but now that kid could have been searched, found out he had a knife on him, would have been expelled. That kid would have never gotten stabbed in the neck. It would never have happened.
Right.
Because we would have been able to prevent it, put people in the place that they need to be able to search this young man now and figure out what he had on him. And then that would have been one stop right there that we would want to hear about something like that. We're able to catch something before this happened.
Wow.
Not we're able to catch a gun,
Okay.
and it's true. There was There was in Tennessee, they had the shooter, and then there was another one they had where the guy crashed his car outside the school, went to his trunk, grabbed his AR style rifle, and then started walking towards the school. And the security guard walked outside, whoever the RSO was there. He walked outside and went to go see if he was okay, and he got shot. If you had AI, we could have picked up the firearm as he was getting out of his vehicle. We'd have picked up the crash. We'd have been able to let him know. They could have assessed the situation, and then they would never have walked out there. They could have moved all the kids to the other side of a safe area. Instead, the guy shot, I think, for 3 minutes. He shot hundreds of rounds in the classroom.
Wow.
Before anyone even was able to get there to respond to the event. And I think it was another 3 minutes before even anyone went in because they didn't know who had command. Wow. But if you would have had a call in saying, hey, there's a guy with a AR walking towards our school right now. We have all the kids moved to the other end of the school. Now they could have barricaded, they could have prevented, they could have allowed the police time to get there, and then we could have given them the location of the intruder and where he was at, because the AI actually has a cluster. So what it does is it takes features. So it'll look at, if I was walking through a building, it'd pick up my hat, it'd pick up my emblem, it'd pick up this, and it would follow me, it'd pick up my shoes, it'd pick up all that stuff AI would pick, and it would send a video cluster, and it would find me in all those videos. And now it would track me through the whole entire school. If I put my gun away, it's still going to have me labeled as a potential threat. It's going to red box me is what I call it. It's going to make my silhouette red, and it's going to have a little icon that you hit, and it's going to say potential threat firearm. It's going to tell you in another video, in another feed, I was holding a firearm, believed to be holding a firearm, or had fired a firearm. And it's going to tell you that I am a potential threat. So it's going to tell police, this guy right here, he's red silhouette, so he had to have been in a frame with a gun at some point. That's the guy we need to stop. He needs to be stopped. And that's something that machine does that could have let law enforcement know where this intruder was going and where he had been, and could have actually prevented casualties. Wow. Could have saved lives. As parents, we drop our kids off at school in hopes that we get to pick them up. Mm-hmm. We don't want to drop our kids off in hopes of, will we get to pick them up today? Right. That is something that no parent ever wants to deal with. And I have kids, I drop them off, and that's my number one question I always ask. What's your security system look like here? When I drop Liam off at school, my first question was, what do you have for security here? What's it look like? And I said, if you ever need help with it, let me know. I won't charge you, because it's for kids. Yeah. Yep. You at some point you've got to put everything aside, and you got to say, what would I want for my kids? And I'm in the position to where I'm able to do that because I'm in security and I know what it should look like for a school, and I know what protocol should be in place. I know what access control, and I know if they have the right locks in place, if they're the right pounds for a mag lock. I know these things, and we are all actually, in doing this, we're doing free security assessments for schools. We're going to go in and we're going to look and make sure cameras in the right spots. Are they looking at the doors? Everyone talks about putting in metal detectors. Metal detectors are great, but not everyone uses the main entrance. And not everyone gets metal detected. We're not going to name where, but we were just doing site visits and walking through schools, and we just walked right through metal detectors. They didn't check us. They didn't search us. And it's like those things are only as good as the person that's on the other side that's enforcing it. Right. And who's to say two kids don't decide they're going to open up wedge a door open, which this was at one of the schools that was shot up. Someone wedged the door open, and the kid came in the side entrance, right, the cafeteria, and that's how he got in the school. The metal detector wouldn't have been able to catch that. Right. If you had it in the front of the school, wouldn't have caught it. I'm telling you, the only way that we're going to be able to prevent this type of behavior from escalating, and the only way we're going to be able to be in the forefront of it, preventing is probably a very foolish word to use when you're talking about what we're talking about. I'd probably say being able to give time give time,
Yeah.
I think, is being able to have a full integrated AI system that's going to be able to detect the bullying, the pushing in the hallway, the fights, the altercations, because that's really where it's stemming from.
Right.
Like, kids don't just wake up in the morning and say, hey, I'm going to bring a gun to school today and I'm going to shoot a bunch of people.
Right.
There's something that had to have happened. They've had to have been picked on, made fun of, laughed at. And, we do it. I mean, we've done it as kids, I'm sure, not knowing we're doing it. We just chuckle at something funny that's going on in the hallway because, two idiots are walking around acting like idiots, and we don't realize, because we're still young, at this age, and our brains are still developing. We're still children. We're not adults. We haven't been through they haven't been through what we've been through to really be able to analyze and put things together that is actually hurting that individual, mentally, physically, and it's tearing them down and breaking them down, and it's putting them in a very dark spot.
Right.
Back them into a corner, and they say you have two things. It's either fight or fright. And they've been frightened, and you can only be frightened so long before one day you just snap and you're fighting and you're done and you're not going to take it anymore. And you've been put down so much, and maybe it's happening in collectiveness at home and at school. And, school should be a safe place. It should always be the safe place for kids to go, to be able to get a meal, to stay warm, to be educated, to be able to do what they want to do with their future, and to be able to grow. And we've stolen that. We've stolen that from kids because we've failed. We failed them. We really have. We failed them as parents. We failed them as educators. We failed them all the way around, because there's kids out there that aren't being protected, and it's they're just messing around. They're just fooling around. But really,
Never know what's going on.
Never know what's going on.
Right. That's exactly right.
You never know. That's why I always say, like, if you walk outside and just saying, good morning or thank you or that looks really cool, just something nice to someone a day,
Absolutely.
just makes a big difference. I could be having the worst day ever, and I walk outside and someone always comments about my shoes. And I could be feeling really, really down that day, and they say something about my shoes. I'm like, what? I really do got really cool shoes. I really got really cool taste when it comes to shoes. And it kind of puts a smile on your face, kind of makes you feel better. And, we've got to do more of that.
You're right.
And it happens at home. We got to teach our kids.
Thank you.
Got to teach our kids that.
Yep, that's awesome. So I'm a school or a business, and I hear about this for the first time, as I have recently. What are some of the next steps? Where is this at from being actually implemented to your business showing up, giving a bid? What is that? What's that look like from the time someone's interested, they contact you? What happens after that?
You want to take this?
Well, our product will be ready to go in February.
Okay.
So obviously
February 2024, just to make sure everybody's listening.
That's correct. So our scientists are still working on a few things and finalizing a few things. All you have to do is contact MDI AI, and we'll come out and talk about it. So right now we're going to have 4 different boxes. Okay, one that can handle 50 cameras, 100 cameras, 150 cameras, 200 cameras. Okay, and we're going to be able to put classifications on this to meet your needs. So we were talking about a supermarket before. We were in talks with Walmart and seeing how much that they had in theirs. So what we're trying to do is just provide a solution to their problem. Like in schools, we have had, and we were talking about this earlier, is facial recognition, right? That's a big issue with parents and stuff like that. In our product, okay, our scientists are able to take out the facial recognition. So it's different classifications, what you want to concentrate on.
Well, now, okay, that's kind of important. Let's talk about that just a minute, facial recognition, because I would assume, and I, honestly, when I first heard about this, wow, that's awesome, but, do I want to be walking around the world with everybody know where I'm at every time because, bam, that's exactly right. So talk about the facial recognition aspect and taking it out or whatever.
Well, that's on the scientist part. I know that I know that when we have talked to parents or educators, that was a big thing. That the cameras can make sure now, but we can still tell.
The camera can tell, like you said, with your hat and your shirt. The camera can tell what you're doing, who you are, basically, without having to acknowledge or recognize your face.
Yes, because that's a big deal with parents, or they don't want their.
Right.
But also, this is what we talk about. This is closed caption. This is in-house. This is not going out anywhere else. So if something does happen, like the notification goes right to the superintendent or the IT guy or something like that, and then we can go to the authorities from there.
Right.
So it's. I can't give you all the.
No, I understand.
Yeah. Right. Like
But
that's
that
the
is a
science.
concern. As long as,
Yes.
that is a concern that people want to know that is at least being addressed, and because rather than just block it out of your mind or forget about it because of that. So
Yeah, we're a two consent state.
Yeah.
So you have consent on both sides in order to be able to capture facial recognition. So what we've done is we've taken that whole feature and we've taken that writing and that language out of the code. And what we've done is we said we want to read features as tattoos. Maybe you're missing a couple fingers. Maybe you got one leg. Pick up on emblems on your clothes. If you got wearing Adidas pants, usually a white stripe all the way down, it's going to pick up on those things, but it's going to look for multiple items of that feature. So obviously, if you're on one camera and you're wearing a set of clothes and you go in the back and you change out of those clothes real quick, if the camera's not watching you physically change out of those clothes and you walk out, it's not going to necessarily capture you as being that same person because we're not reading facial. But what it's going to do is it's going to give you enough features because it's going to cluster you all the way back to the vehicle you got out of. So if you walk into a convenience store or you walk into a supermarket, a Walmart, say it, and you steal, it's going to track you all the way back to the vehicle you got out of. So, or if you're in there going to shoot the place up, it's going to let the authorities know what vehicle you're in, because a lot of times we need to know who the person is. Does anyone have any information on who this individual is? If you watch any kind of situational shooting situations, if you've read any of the case logs, if you've read any of the FBI does classes on basically interrogations. If you watch any of those interrogations, the number one thing it says, get me some information on this guy. We've got to know what's triggering him. And we're going to give you his triggers because we're going to give you the vehicle he got out of. Mm-hmm. So now you're going to be able to get that subpoena, get it signed right away. You're going to be able to jack that door open up that registration, and you'll be able to look and see if this is the individual is. You're going to be able to pull prints. You're going to be able to get things rolling in the right direction so you have the information you need at your hands. So that way you're able to say, okay, this is George Macias, and he's upset. And then now we got to get some family on the line, and we got to figure out more about this George guy. Wow. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to be able to get back to them. Where if you back this up years, they show up somewhere and they got to figure out who the guy is. They got to depend on someone on the inside to be able to give them information, or someone who came out. What's the guy look like? Well, did you see him out here? Did you see what car he got out of? We're taking all the guessing out of it, and we're giving you everything you want right at your fingertips. We're able to go back in the system and pull all that information and just basically send it straight down to the authorities. When it comes through to the app, it's going to have a location, it's going to have a video, and it's going to have a still image of the individual. And at the bottom, it's going to have where you can cancel it. It's a false alarm, or the next one will be dispatched. You hit the dispatch, this thing going to go to one of our stations in our monitoring station, and then they're going to dispatch the police. It's also going to send them a link of the video, and then they're going to be able to do the play-by-play for the authorities. So our central station will basically have a connection to the data and the information that's being fed out into that app. And as they're hitting it, it's going straight to our central station, and they're basically going to be able to be command basically at that point for law enforcement. I'll know, hey, they're on this camera, they're on this one.
That's huge.
And send it straight through.
That's
huge. And they're trained. They're trained professionals. They know what to do, and they are in the realm of CCTV monitoring. So they're actually watching CCTV for a living. This is what they do, whether it be a car lot, whether it be a bank, whatever it may be that they're monitoring. That's what they're doing. Whenever something happens, it gets fed to them, and then they're able to do the dispatching and send it out to the call list if they need to. If it's not already on there, just let them know what's going on at their location.
Okay. So
it's something that we've dug deeper into to make sure that we're able to assist. But then some places might say, hey, we want to mitigate this in-house. We already had a C1 local monitoring station that's going to monitor this, that's going to watch this for us. And when the alerts come up, they'll come up their screen, and then they'll make the calls that they want to. That's fine. You can do that. But we want you to know that you also have MDI on your side. We are not just here to sell you a box and walk out the door. This is a partnership. And we want people to know this. We want schools and businesses to know this. This is 100% partnership on both sides. This is not 50-50. This is 100-100. Because if there's something going on and it's not reading that type of behavior, we want you to send us that video. I want you to communicate with us so that we can put it in there. So that way in the next couple of weeks, it's now reading that literature. It's now reading that language and that body language. It's reading that type of theft, that type of behavior. It's reading what you need because we want it to cater to your needs. We don't want a box just to be a box and say, this is what you get. This is what you paid for. This is all it is. We want you to know that you're paying for us to be a team, be a part of your team. And we're going to build these features and these things that you need in real time. You're not going to be, okay, well, send it in and, we'll see if they can do it. No, if this is something you need, we're going to get on a call with you. You're going to talk to us. I have a direct line to James. I can get James on. If I wanted James on the phone right now, I get James on the phone right now. He'd call me right back. He'd say, text me, hey, you need me right now? And I'd say, no, just when you have time, because we have that relationship, because he knows that MDI is passionate about it. He knows I'm passionate about it. He knows that there is a time and a place, and this is the time, and we just got to find people that want to put it in their place. And that's all it is. Okay. And we will work together, and we will change lives. Wow. And we will save lives.
I can, yeah.
I was just going to say, going back to that, the next couple of weeks, anyway, we'll go demo it. So we have the capability of showing you how AI is going to work. Now, obviously, guys aren't going to watch it the whole time, but we are able to show you percentages, and we have videos of past shootings and theft and stuff like that. So we do have demos that if people want to contact us, we'll show you exactly how this works, how it's supposed to run in the background, and so they get an idea of, because AI is new. Right. And we're at a time in history where, we have the capability of doing this.
Yeah.
To help people out.
I the school safety factor is, and yes, I totally understand the shoplifting thing, but, and that's, costing us, but saving life, making our schools safe. I think that is absolutely amazing. So, and I think I heard you say it's not foolproof. There's going to be times it's going to be something that whoever the school or the business as they watch and as they continue to see a bullying incident take place in the hallways, this camera didn't pick, then they'll contact you and that you'll go back and look at the camera and mimic the situation and try to and AI continue to make it learn. That is, I can't wrap my mind around that. That is amazing.
Yeah, it's like everything else, right? Everything evolves. We evolve as humans. Crime evolves. That. So is our AI. Right. Our AI is going to be able to evolve to come with the times to pick up what needs to be picked up to keep everybody safe.
It's deep machine learning.
Yeah.
It's not just 100 videos, a handful of videos. It's close to 15 million videos that's fed into this.
Okay.
That's fed into this machine. And then you watch to see how it dictates all that body language, all the things that are happening. And then you go into the backbone of the system and you start articulating. Man holding a gun. Now it's looking for a man holding a gun. And then if it's a news thing, you say person broadcasting news broadcaster, person holding microphone. And then you identify the microphone and it learns that's a mic. That's this. It's like a newborn child that just opens his eyes for the first time. Is like, wow, what is all this stuff? It's seeing everything, but is it understanding? Is it correlating? Is it really manifesting in their head of what that object is? So we're teaching it. And along the way, it says, oh, I know what that is already. I already know what that is. I already know what that is, because we fed it all this information. It's like putting a child in front of the TV and letting it watch 100 years worth of TV. It's going to pick it up. It's going to learn. It's going to recognize. Next time it's in front of something, it's going to say, oh, that's the American flag. Oh, that's a desk, because we've taught it. And that's the same thing. And it gets to a point to where eventually the AI is able to just dictate what that is based on all the information that's been fed to it. And it kind of just learns and goes. And then that's where we say to the businesses and the schools that even if you have a situation that you feel like it could have picked up, but it didn't, send it to us because we're going to tell you, okay, I understand why I didn't pick that up. And we will explain to them. We won't just say, okay, we'll look into it. No, we're going to explain to them, okay, I didn't pick that up. This is the reasons. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take it and we're going to throw it back into the machine and we're going to teach it and learn it. So that way it picks that behavior up. And then once we're done, we're going to call you. And we're going to tell you to mimic that same situation because we want to make sure it's delivering the message you want it to deliver in the way you want it to be delivered. Do you want that to be an alert? Do you want that to be an emergency? Like, what do you want that to be addressed as? And we'll be able to basically tailor it to their needs. And that's what I feel like it should be, because how someone steals at a Walmart isn't going to be the same way someone steals at a hardware store. At a Walmart, I want a piece of gum, I'll put it in my pocket. At the hardware store, if I want a 2x4 and I walk out with it in my pocket, I'm going to look a little funny. There's going to be some questions to be asked. We teach it based on situations. So if you go to a Home Depot or you go to a Lowe's, you do a purchase. You go and you put it all in the cart. You roll the cart and you have to go to the checkout stand and you have to physically stop at the checkout stand and someone has to scan it. So what we do is we take it and we teach it. We say, okay, person with cart with material must stop at one of these spots. And we tell it where it must stop at and someone must help them. So if it just stops at that spot and keeps going and no one physically helped, then it's how we teach it. Someone has to physically come out and help scan whatever it may be. Yeah. We tell that machine that that's what it needs to do. And then that's what it says. And it says, okay, that's the proper way. So now if someone goes through, grabs something and goes through and it's an associate, it's still going to flag it. Who's to say it's not internal theft? Because that's what everyone says. Well, what if my employee's grabbing it? Well, what if your employee's grabbing it and giving his buddy 15 or 16 extra 2x4s? What that adds up. You 15 2x4s and you got 20 buddies. That's a lot of 2x4s walking out. So we don't really want 600 2x4s sitting on a truck unaccounted for and not paid for. Or you got someone who walks into a Walmart and they have a receipt in their hand and they walk to the back of the store and they grab a blouse off the shelf and they walk up there and they set it on the return counter with their receipt and they return that. All right. Now, is that theft? It's also fraud because now we're defrauding the government because there's taxes involved. Yep. Their money being returned tax wise that was never paid for that shirt. And now everyone's losing money. Everyone's losing. Price is going up. So what we do is we teach it. If someone walks in for a return, they must come directly from the front door to the return counter with their merchandise and their receipt and must do it right there on the spot. They can no longer walk around and then come back up. And if they do, it'll be flagged. An associate will be able to look at it and see if is this really a situation. They'll be able to go out there and address it and figure out what's going on. And if it's not what it is, at least it's giving them the notifications they need. At least it's putting them in the front seat of being able to prevent that. Because I forgot what the numbers were on the fraud side of returning tax money that should still be being paid for by the store and shouldn't be being returned. There's still a loss in money there because that money's being taken back. The tax is paid and it's taking money away. And that number is still in the billions, by the way. Right. It's in the billions. I know it's like $163 billion in theft annually. And you can't tell me that some of our biggest, companies out there aren't the ones holding the bag at the end. And it's not fair. Yeah, that's exactly right. Which is why we've been working with some of those, and we've signed NDAs. I won't tell you who we sign NDAs with just because I don't know how far in depth that NDA goes, but we're working together to collectively figure out a way to where we can take money off of these machines and donate them with that company in their name, basically to give back, because they're so deep into donating to schools and charities that we're like, why don't we donate this money back to the schools? And they agree. They think it's a great idea to take that money and allocate it towards school safety. And it's going to be one of the biggest things I think that's going to come out when it comes, it's going to come. I'm telling you right now, when we partner with that big company and they say, hey, we're a green light, let's do this. You're going to see machines going everywhere and you're going to see lives change. You're going to hear about it and you're going to hear about it because kids are going to try to test it. because that's what kids do. We just did vape detectors in Clifton, and like yesterday, I had 17 alerts that came through on the profile for vape detection. Kids are going to test it, and they're gonna find out real quick that we're serious, and we want to make these schools safer. We want to give money back to the businesses that should be theirs, and we want to bring prices back down, because you can't tell me that's not where some of the higher prices are coming from. It's coming from theft.
Right.
And that's something that right now I feel like we hold the key. We hold the key. We're putting, all our eggs in this basket, and we're saying, hey, we're ready to go. Like, who's going to be the first brave soul to say, hey, we're ready to do this with you. We're ready to partner and make a difference. And we have people out there, and we're working with big companies right now that are like, they're going through it. They're getting all their key people together. They're going through their numbers, and they're getting all their stuff together to tell us exactly what their needs and wants are. And we're going to come back to them and tell them if we're able to meet those needs and wants. And if we are, this is great. It's going to be a one heck of a show.
Wow. I think that's, it's amazing. And at the end of this program, I'll put up your, all of your contact information and your web page, and I think it's going to be exciting to watch this. I've never really been on, had privy to information to cutting edge technology like this, and I think this is huge. So
we believe so too.
Yeah. So, I mean, that seems to be a company or a school would contact you, and you would show up, do a demo, show them exactly what this is all about, and then you keep talking about a box. So I'm going to a box takes care of about 50 cameras. I thought it was a box it starts at 50 and then just 50 and then goes up. So yeah. And after that, I mean, how do you put a price tag on saving life and the money that you're talking about of shoplifting and theft, and I think that's awesome. So, my mind just kind of swimming right now with all this, because when you hear AI, I'll be honest with you, I did too, and as I began to get to know you, I've talked with Elizabeth a lot, and she sent me. So that's another. We talk about people. Elizabeth Lubin is the one, and many of you may remember Elizabeth. She traveled with Cindy. She is a ball of energy and a ball of fire and a ball of ideas. So she is the one that connected us. So that's, again, people, relationships, and how all that works. So anything to wrap up? I'm looking forward to learning about this a little more in depth, and then being able to share this with my counterparts in state and federal government. I think that is going to be huge. Can you imagine? Everybody wants to talk about all the junk on January 6th. Can you imagine how much different things might have looked like, and all these questions that we have, and all of the lies and the cover-ups that have evidently been taking place? Can you imagine how much different things could have been with that? But I just, I commend you. I thank you for what you guys are doing, and looking forward to where this journey takes us. And gosh, I look forward to just beginning in time to kind of hear the stories. And you're right, we're not going to know how many lives this is going to save. We're not going to know ultimately, how many tax dollars this is going to save. I love your idea. As businesses begin to see the net savings, being able to then share that back and get these systems in schools, rural schools, where really it's probably needed because of the number one, the affordability for them, and number two, the closeness of law enforcement. I mean, a lot of schools don't have school resource officers, right now, but being able to share then back with business to make all this happen is amazing.
And then knowing that they have our team in the background that is their resource as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that speaks volume. I just think, as they say, the United States, we need to unite again.
Yes.
We really do. And the only way we can do it is we want to get the retailers, the big companies together, and have them be a part of that uniting, and let it be where they feel like they're doing something at the end of the day. They're not just selling a product off a shelf in the back door. They donate a lot of money already to schools and to students and to families in need. Why not put your name on a box and a server that goes into a building that sits there and is able to help protect?
Right.
I mean, that, to me, I can sleep at night knowing that these machines are going in and they're doing their job and they're working while I'm sleeping. I can feel good. I run it on my property. It's on my property right now. I run it. If someone comes on there with a gun, I'll pick it up.
Wow.
I love having it.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have to put it on there to where I can pick up aggressive driving, so that I'll know when the kids are coming home. I'm like, oh, you're driving a little fast down the drive. And, you know, they already give me a hard time because at my house I got license plate readers out by the road. I got long range. I got camera that can see a mile away. PTZ that follows you when you pull in.
Wow.
Get out of your vehicle. It zooms right in, zooms right back out. And I've got still image cameras all over. My kids already say, well, we're never gonna get a chance to ever sneak out of the house. That's probably on their bucket list.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
these are things that I pride myself on. And
Yeah.
my kids are like, oh, really, Dad? And their friends come over and like, can you see us right now? So I just we chuckle and we laugh. We should be able to do this in a classroom.
That's right.
We should be able to do this in a classroom again.
No fear.
Not in fear, and make it, you know, like it was when I know it'll never be the exact way it was, but we could at least get it back a little bit and give back to the kids and to our teachers that we send in there every day. Some days it's some situations, some schools like going to Iraq, you know, we're putting these educators in these situations and we're not giving them the resources they need to feel protected. And that's what MDI is going to do. I'm finally in a position to where I can allocate funds and I can allocate a team and I can allocate my time to be able to focus on this side of my passion and my heart and put it all out there and say at the end, I know this is going to go somewhere and I can rest my head and I can walk around and with pride and say like, I'm making a difference.
Yeah.
That's what
that
it's
is
about.
awesome.
What you got, Dave?
No, just appreciate having us.
All right. No.
Giving us a little platform to get this exposed.
I pray that I can get this is huge. So thank you. And you heard them both say to make a difference, friends. And that's what we're here on earth for. We're here to make a difference wherever. I've farmed all my life and been involved in our local school. And Cindy and I have been aggressively involved in our church and even starting a school, making a difference. And then all of a sudden this door opened for politics, the last thing in the world I thought I'd ever be involved in, but making a difference. So the question for you is, where can you make a difference today? We already talked about, you know, the person that you're going to see across the counter, the server that comes, you know, and serves your table or wherever, just that eye contact, saying thank you, how are you doing, making up to contact and saying something positive. So I'm excited about this. I'm going to be very excited watching where the future takes this, hopefully much, much sooner than later. I think this is a very valid solution to safety in our schools. So anyway, we're going to post the contact information here at the end of this video, so feel free to get a hold of George or David at MDI, and let's see where this goes. So I look forward to having another podcast soon, a little after some of this gets implemented and talking more in depth about seeing it in action. So God bless you. Have a happy new year for the remainder of 24, and let's see where this takes us. Don't forget, make a difference in somebody's world. God bless.